Welcome back to the Hip Replacement Podcast. I'm Chris Bystriansky, your host. I'm also a double hip replacement patient, one more than 10 years ago and the other more than 12 years ago, and I'm here to share my experiences with you. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much for listening. It really means a lot to me. I see a lot of downloads coming from many different countries around the world, and I just want to say thank you for trusting me to share this information with you and that you care, because you're listening and you're paying attention is really what fuels me to produce these podcasts. So thank you very much. When I started this podcast, I wanted to help people who were in the same position that I was when I had my hips replaced. I remember it was a pretty scary experience. I was pretty terrified of the future. I didn't know what the future would hold for me. I didn't know if I would be able to accomplish anything afterwards. Basically what happened was the surgeon did his thing, the physical therapist did their thing, and after that I was kind of kicked out into the world. I had follow-up appointments with the physical therapist and the surgeons, but I still felt like that's it. There's nothing else. I just do the surgeries and then leave and try to put my life and physical health back together. It was a pretty scary experience. Well, that future that I was so afraid of and so uncertain about, I'm in that future now. And I want to show you the path I took so that you can have great results and live a great life. So hopefully we're doing that. Hopefully this podcast is accomplishing that for you. One of the things I wanted to raise was that in regular conversations I have with people, hip replacement patients or not, I hear people say things like they're hanging in there or they're getting by. You've done it. You've asked people how they're doing and they say, oh, I'm hanging in there or I'm getting by. Well, I don't want you just to get by or hang in there. That's not good enough. You're way better than that. I want you to dominate. I started this podcast to help you have great recoveries and dominate the rest of your life, to be the healthiest and happiest that you can possibly be. So hopefully you're working towards that and you have a mindset that you're not just hanging in there or you're not just getting by, but you're doing great. You're doing the things you want to do and you're progressing and the future looks brighter for you. But if you need a little extra motivation or boost, I have something for you. I send out a weekly video series called 52 for Life, and it's short for 52 weekly lessons for a better life. It's totally free. I just send it out to anybody on my email list. If you'd like to receive these, if you think that a little bit of inspiration and motivation just once a week would be helpful to you, you could just go to 52forlife.com and just register and you'll start receiving emails once a week on that. I'll also put the link in the show notes below. So hopefully that's helpful to you and it gets you on the track of having a great life and not just getting by or hanging in there, okay? But in this episode, I'm going to talk about the stigma of a hip replacement. It's something very real. I didn't realize that would be an issue until I started feeling ashamed and embarrassed. I felt defective. I was down. I felt that people were looking at me differently. That people were giving me, and people at my work were giving me condolences, saying things like, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do? I really felt down. I felt like less of a person than I was before. And I felt less of a person than these people who were talking to me. And, it's really sort of irrational, but it still happened. I felt like if I did not get a hold of myself and stop feeling sorry for myself, I would be pretty miserable and not accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish in my life. No, I didn't go out as much. I really didn't even want to see that many people. I went to work and I came home. Maybe I went to physical therapy, of course, and I just kind of came home. And I had one young child after my first surgery and a second young child after my second hip, shortly after my second hip replacement surgery. But I just didn't go out too much. I was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed to walk around with the limp. I didn't want people to see me. And I wanted to speed up the recovery process. It was very difficult to be patient and to let the healing and everything occur. I mean, it took, we're not talking weeks. We're not talking months. We're talking a year before I was feeling pretty confident and able to walk without a limp. And I had this limp for quite a while, and I just wanted the limp to go away because it was an outward sign. It was a reminder to me of the surgeries. And it was a signal to other people that I had leg or hip or mobility issues. I was embarrassed, honestly. I had this ID for my job, and instead of wearing it on my belt, I would wear a lanyard. And if you don't know what a lanyard is, it's sort of like a necklace, but at the end of the necklace, it's not a pendant or a cross or whatever you would put at the end of a necklace. It's an ID. Okay, so I wore the lanyard around my neck with the badge hanging down. And the reason I would do this is because if I were walking around work and the lanyard would rock side to side, back and forth, it would be an indicator to me that I was limping. And it would be a signal, because sometimes I would just forget. And I'd be walking around and I'd be limping and this thing would be swinging back and forth. And it would remind me, hey, pay more attention and walk straight as best you can and try to not walk with a limp. Because when that thing's swinging side to side and I was limping, people could see, I felt terrible about it. I mean, I was really embarrassed just to have to go through the whole process, and I felt defective. But, while these feelings were bad, the feelings of shame or embarrassment were also a positive, because the feelings drove me to do a lot of physical therapy. They drove me to get into good health again, to get healthy, to be active. So all these results were good. So those feelings that I had that I didn't want, that I felt terrible about, drove me to get better. And not only to get better, to get back to the life that I wanted to have following a hip replacement surgery. And then I realized that a hip replacement surgery was not a life sentence of pain or shame, of embarrassment. It just wasn't. A hip replacement is what you make of it. I mean, I hate to sound like a cliche, but the hip replacement is really what you make of it. The result is what you make of it. It could either grind you down or make you stronger. In a way, it's like the legendary superheroes, like Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman or the Incredible Hulk. They didn't fit in. They probably felt different than everyone else. Maybe they were embarrassed. Maybe they were uncomfortable. I mean, I've seen the movies, I've read the comics. To me, it seemed like they were uncomfortable and they didn't fit in. And I know these are just stories, but we sort of have similar stories. All these superheroes were capable of great things. And so are we, regardless of the hip replacement. And maybe because of the hip replacement, the hip replacements don't define us. It's not who we are. We have a lot more to write to our stories. So much more to give, so much more to create, so much more to live, so much more to do with our lives. So we can choose to let any stigma or shame impact us, and also how it impacts us. I think it's an impact for the good. The feeling of overcoming adversity or challenges or putting that stigma behind us is sort of a feeling that not everyone has the opportunity to experience. If someone just has a relatively rosy life, they don't have any major obstacles that they have to overcome, how do they learn to deal with adversity? So putting that stigma behind us, the way I look at it is that It's a feeling of victory. It's a feeling of becoming stronger. It's a feeling of becoming something bigger and better than we were before. Than we were before the surgeries or 5 years ago or whatever it is. So if you experience the weight of stigma or embarrassment on you, know that there are a lot of us that have been where you are. Okay? I'm here. There's a lot of people around the world watching this podcast. You are not alone. You can make it past the sense of unworthiness or shame or that you can't live a full life anymore because you're great and you have a lot of great things left in you. You're in the right place right here amongst your people. My daughter recently started gymnastics several months ago, and it reminded me of a video I saw years ago. And in the video, it is a gymnastics coach who lifts their gymnast that they coach up onto bars, and then the coach heads to the sidelines, heads off the mat. But the coach isn't simply watching, and the video is about 2 minutes long, and it's not on a gymnast. The video is of the coach, and the coach is watching the gymnast do their routine. The gymnast is off the camera, and the camera is focused on the coach. And the coach is off to the side, and the coach is going through all the motions and all of the excitement that while they're watching the gymnast do the routine. So it's almost like the coach is right there with the gymnast doing the routine. And then when the routine's done, the coach goes absolutely crazy. So excited. The coach is more excited than the actual gymnast who did the routine. So even though I'm not physically with you wherever you are around the world, I'm with you and I'm cheering for you. Any stigma or shame can pass, and you decide how fast that happens. I believe in you, and I know you have a great future ahead of you. I really mean this from my heart. I know you have a great future in front of you, and you are with your people right here. So thank you for being here. And thanks so much for tuning into the Hip Replacement Podcast. Until next time, I wish you the best recovery possible.